to find out from you why this 9% increment at this time.
Well, the 9% has become relevant because of the movements on the international market. We have recently observed for the past 2.5 months that Brent crude oil prices have been increasing, and it has increased almost to about 37% thereabout. And also the petroleum products that are very relevant to Ghana, which is petrol, diesel, LPG gas, etc. They have also increased significantly between the band of 30 to 26%, and in the case of even LPG gas, that's almost about 43%. So when you look at this kind of increases, then you need to look at and review the prices. In trying to review prices as NPA, we normally look at the consumer, his ability to pay, but also the investor and the private businessman who is bringing in the petroleum products. So having looked at both sides, and the fact that there has been the cedi depreciation, that affects the businessman, which is the oil marketing companies, and then the bulk distribution oil companies that import in these petroleum products. We want to make sure that there's a win-win situation between the consumer and the private investor. Therefore, it will not be the best if you are pricing the petroleum products at X pump below cost of bringing it to the country. And immediately we do below cost, it will mean that government would have to subsidize. And we notice that government really doesn't have the appetite to subsidize. Government previously had to struggle to pay the debts of the under-recoveries, which are the subsidies. So we think that the fair price, which is a win-win situation for both the consumer and the importer, who is a private businessman, was to be 9%. And that's why we did the 9%. But paramountly, you know that when you distort the pricing and there is subsidies, and the importer is selling below cost without a good profit margin, then there is no incentive to do that business, which will mean that there will be illiquidity challenges in the banking system. The banks will not be willing to open LCs for the bulk distribution companies, which means that there will be shortages. And one of the mandates of MPA is to make sure that there's always availability of fuel all over the country, so that there will be no disruptions. So an increase of 9% translated into 28 pesos maximum per liter, and we think that it is better for we Ghanaians to be able to pay the extra 28 pesos per liter rather than face fuel shortages. We have seen situations last year when there were shortages and disruptions for 1 week, and everybody was of the opinion that, look, even if NPA increased fuel prices and they are available, people will be willing to pay. And as I've always said, you know that when there are fuel shortages in the system, first of all, public transport will be frozen. Nobody can go to work. Business people cannot go to work. Doctors and nurses cannot go to their hospital. Teachers cannot go to schools. Children cannot go to schools. And it's like the whole economy is in chaos. You see a lot of queues all over the place, and passengers and drivers would be fighting because everybody wants to get fuel. Therefore, this chaotic situation can only be forestalled if we are able to do the increase that we did. And we think that that was the best decision we needed to take. We don't think it is drastic enough.
What would you say to people who think that this is a very wrong timing for government to increase the prices of petroleum products, especially in the midst of this power crisis, when people have to actually buy fuel to power their generators? It means extra costs.
Yes, I agree with you. We took that into consideration. And in fact, that even delayed our decision to announce on Thursday or Friday. So what we needed to do was to do a research to find out the small-scale business people and medium-scale business people, what kind of fuel do they use? And we saw that it was a mixed bag. Some used diesel for the generators, others used petrol for their generators, which meant that trying to subsidize one for the other was not the best option to do. It meant all of them across should have an increase. Now, we also noticed that asking people to pay 28 pesos extra was a better deal than they not having the fuel, or whether the diesel or petrol, to power their generators. And I was just making an example that if you take a barbering shop, maybe they use 1 liter of fuel to be able to generate electricity to cut the hair of 4 people. And if for each person he's charging 4 cedis, that's for the 4 people, that's about 16 cedis. I think that barber would be better off if he pays an extra 28 pesos and is able to get 16 Ghana cedis, rather than we coming to tell him that there are no fuel availability and therefore his shop would close for the day. So for me, in terms of economic decision, we took the right decision, and the fact that we are increasing 28 pesos is a better deal for business people, for household consumers, rather than if there were shortages and non-availability of products on the market.
Did the MPA consider the economic effects this will have on goods and services? Because already today, Joy News spoke to some businesses. For instance, a salon we went to, she said that all her products, the prices were going to be increased. And of course, where she would go and buy it from, the prices would be increased, because you're looking at the effect on transportation. Even though we understand that the transport unions have told their members not to increase transport fares, some drivers are already doing that. And this is going to have rippling effect. Did you consider that?
Well, we think that the Ghanaian, as much as the Ghanaian is always demonstrating for his rights, the consumer associations will also march for their rights, because when it comes to government, people are quick to jump to say, this is my right, there is dumso, so you fix it. So in the same way, if some driver is taking away your right illegally, you must also protest. So if you look at the economics of transportation, I'm saying that it is only 28 pesos on a liter. And if you take a trotro driver from Medina to Circle, he would normally use 1 gallon from Medina to Circle. That 1 gallon has now increased by 1 cedi, 20 pesos. If he picks 20 people and you divide the 1 cedi 20 pesos, in fact, you cannot even calculate it in pesos. It becomes so insignificant that he's not supposed to charge anything higher than maybe 1%, etc. But if you come to those who are also exaggerating that, because if you are a hairdresser, I mean, we have increased the thing by 28 pesos. So what else are you going to buy as your input that should be more than 28 pesos? It's just a cover-up, it's just an exaggeration, because Ghanaians don't want to pay realistic prices for petroleum products.
So you think that this is justifiable even for those who have to buy fuel a lot at a time to power their generators to do their daily work?
Yeah, but that is why I just used a barber to explain to you that a barber would see this decision as a better decision, where he will pay 28 pesos in addition, rather than no fuel in the system, where the whole day he won't even get the 16 cedis that he would have gotten. So the only thing the barber is losing is the 28 pesos. And I believe that if you were to go to barb your hair, and they say it used to be 4 cedis, but it's now 4 cedis, 20 pesos, I don't think you are going to cry foul about it.
Some people, including the running mate of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he thinks that government is very uncaring and insensitive to the plight of Ghanaians to have increased petroleum prices by 9% at this time. What do you say to that?
Yes, you see, their mathematics is always distorted, and there's a lot of intellectual dishonesty on it. At the time that we did a decrease of 10%, these same people came out to say that, oh, 10% decrease is not enough, it's very marginal. So if we do the converse, then a 9% increase should also be seen as marginal, because you cannot work your mathematics in just your own favor. When we decrease by 10%, they say, oh, but what is 10%? Now, when we increase by 9%, I expect people to also say, oh, but 9% is nothing to write home about. But then they start screaming, because the percentages are the same. It works the same. If I decrease 10 and you say that is insignificant, then when I increase by 9, which is even not up to 10, you should still be seeing it as insignificant. But not only Dr. Bawumia, but I thought that I heard Nana Akufo-Addo in Cologne, and I thought that that was an unfortunate situation, because I have done my research, and the Germany in which Nana Akufo-Addo was sitting in, the price of a gallon of petrol is $6. In Amsterdam, the price of a gallon of petrol is $6.48 per gallon. In Ghana, the price of a gallon of petrol is $3.3 per gallon. In UK, it is about 6.6 thereabout. Now, you are sitting in Cologne, and the people you are addressing know very well that if they were to leave you and they go to the filling station, they are going to pay $6 and not 3.
But again, the money Ghanaians receive, their salaries cannot be compared to how much these people in Germany receive. Even if you want to take the cedi depreciation and the value of the cedi into consideration, it is not the same.
We are talking of fuel prices. Fuel pricing is what we call international import parity. So irrespective of the economy, prices are supposed to be about the same.
But if I'm in Germany?
If you are in Germany, and I know UK better than Germany, if you are in UK, you probably will have a certain minimum wage. Somebody was quoting a certain price. But what is the cost of living in Germany or in UK? That money you get, at the end of the day, your situation is not better than a lower middle class person in Ghana. Okay? So when they exaggerate, because the cost of living in Germany, the cost of living in UK is also very high. And let me give you an example. A typical lunch in the UK is fish and chips. It goes for £9. 9 times 5 cedis today would give you what? 45 Ghana cedis. Me and you don't spend 45 Ghana cedis when we go to eat banku and tilapia or fufu. So already he has had enough money, but your cost of living is lower than that person. The same UK, if you buy a day's ticket to travel to office and back with side stoppages on the train, it's about £7 to £9 a day's ticket. If you just buy a one-way ticket in and out, it's almost about £4. £9 times 5, that is again another 450,000 old Ghana cedis, but 45 cedis. You know, so you have to look at it in the context of the cost of living in that country, and the cost of living in Ghana is lower than the cost of living in Germany and also in the UK. And we are talking of international prices. So if in Germany it is $6 per gallon, and Ghana is 3.3. If I'm a Ghanaian and I'm in Germany, I would tell the Germans, you people, your economy is very harsh. Back in my country, fuel prices are lower. Not to say, hey, what's happening? And then I've been telling people that, look, this debate, we can really stretch it. And at the end of the day, you see that even we have seemingly better lifestyles than those people. And I'm saying, you would buy a $60,000 BMW. That is that price in Germany. How did you buy it in Ghana? When you say that he's receiving more salary than you, but you've been able to buy the facilities that they are having. Now you buy a $60,000 BMW, but you don't want to pay 6 gallons per liter for it.
But how many people are able to buy the BMW you talk about?
But if you look on our...
You're looking at the majority of people.
Yes. So let me go to the majority of the people. The majority of the people in Ghana are living in rural, are living now in the cities. And if you look at the transportation and you go to do your analysis as you go, the number of private cars constitute about 60% to 70% of the total number of cars on our streets. And if you have been traveling, which you know that if you are in UK or in US, the kind of cars we use in Ghana, you can't believe this is Ghana.
So you think Ghanaians are being hypocritical with paying the increment?
Yes, I think when it comes to fuel, Ghanaians are being hypocritical. Do you know how much, let's say, a small box of ice cream cost?
Let me ask you, Mr. Saga, beyond...
About 50. Then when it comes to about 50 Ghana cedis, or even more, you know, that one they can pay. So how do you compare ice cream to fuel? Do you know how petrol is gotten?
Mr. Saga, beyond these explanations you're giving, is it that government is bankrupt of ideas, or it is just that Ghanaians must face the reality of paying the real price?
Well, I think the real price is the real price, because governments from President Kufuor through Atta Mills up to John Mahama has been subsidizing for Ghanaians. But this we should not subsidize. Look, every day the price of cement increases, but Ghanaians go to buy cement. Look at the kind of construction that we have in Ghana every day. You people now, nobody wants to eat local rice, but perfume rice increases every week when you go back to the shop. Nobody talks about it. And that is why we think that, look, we must deregulate fuel and let it become any other commodity. And let there be competition, so that Total, Goil, Allied Oil, Nasona, there will be competition, and you see that prices even may come down when we take it away from government hands.